Have you been seriously injured? Mama Justice is here for you. Our medical team partners with top-notch doctors, surgeons, therapists, and urologists, ensuring a comprehensive recovery journey. If you've been injured, call Mama Justice today. We're here for you.
Buying Dirt is presented by 601 Sports, Bruce Gray Lampro, Casco Cleaning Solutions, Chase Buckles Mortgage Advisor, Culbertson Cattle Company, Culbertson Concrete Pumping Service, Kirk Douglas Heating and Cooling, Levi Patton Farm Bureau, Southern Ag Credit, Southwest Mississippi NDA Branch, Southwest Mississippi Wildlife Expo, and United Country McDaniel Gray Realty.
Buy dirt, find one you can't live without.
Good morning. Welcome, Southwest Mississippi. Hope everybody is doing well. As we sit and record this show this morning, Keith, it's raining.
I've got to do my slow dance with that music.
Did you get any rain at your house? Yeah, you got a little bit.
5-6 inches. I might be able to burn my burn pile in the backyard now.
Yeah, we need it, man. I tell you, it's been dry. It's been real dry. But it's always good to see it. Always good to see it coming and see it good to see it go, huh?
A little advice. If you got a burn pile and you're walking down to it and the grass is crunching, don't light it.
Probably not a good day, huh? So true. All right, we hope everybody's doing well today. We're going to talk a little real estate topic this morning that's near and dear to Keith's heart.
What? What? Real estate?
We are going to talk a little real estate this morning. No, it's been what, a couple of years or so ago, I guess, when you and your family had to deal with your mother's estate.
It's been longer than that now. Probably been 5 years or so, 6 years. But it's down the road, but it's a topic that everybody, you've got a family member, an elderly family member that they reach the age where they can't stay in their home anymore,
right.
Need to move out. At that time, we just let my mother come to that decision.
Yeah.
Well, she moved out of her house, took what few things into an assisted living that she could, and left everything.
So you were given the task of helping organize and sell.
Not right at that time. We just gave her time to process and how much she liked it there.
Yeah.
And get her. And when she made the decision to sell the house, we put it on the market.
Right.
Well, then I began to lay awake at night thinking, I've got this house full of furniture that's left. She's not going to be able to use. My dad, who had passed away.
I was going to say, it wasn't just furniture, was it?
No, it wasn't just furniture. It's a lifetime of memories and, everything else that was entailed of living your life and what you've collected over a lifetime.
Sure.
Well, and my dad had passed away a couple of years before that, and he was a woodworker. He had tools in his shop that were planers, saws, a lot of tools. And what am I going to do with all that? Well, there's only so much you can go on social media and try to sell.
Right.
And then what are you going to do with what's left? And the hassles of doing all of that. What am I going to do? Well, a lot of people get into, now you have an estate sale. Somebody passed away, you've got an estate. What are you going to do with that? And I have come to realize that I'm not the only one that has lived through that.
That's right. It's actually very, very common. And we as realtors run into this a lot. I know you in the past have dealt with several people who were selling their homes who fell into this category.
Yeah.
And I have too. I've worked with individuals who call us or called me and said, I want to sell my parents' property. But it's not always that easy, is it, Keith? Because there's other siblings involved, and somebody will say, it's in my name and I have control to sell it, but then you look at the deed, you look at the the courthouse records, and you realize it's still in their parents' name. So in other words, that estate really hasn't been what we call probated, which means up to date. And so it doesn't mean you can't sell it. It just means that some things have to be done in order for you to be able to
If
to
that
sell
title is not in your name or does not have your name tied to it in some form, then you're going to need to probate it.
That's right. And if you have a will that states that it's now in your name, now is your property, that's good, right? But even that still needs to be updated. You need to go through the proper channels to get
and
that
that's
updated.
Of the ones that we have dealt with over the last few years since I dealt with mine. Mine was really one of the most simple because my mother had a life estate, and she moved out, and that kind of put me in charge of when she decided she wanted to sell it, for us to sell it, and we put that money in a money market account to help her through her situation to pay for the assisted living and things like that. But there are a lot of decisions you've got to make getting into that. Now, I was the only child. Yeah, I'm spoiled rotten. Go ahead, say it. But it's
simple.
It's simple in that situation.
That's right, because most people, there's other siblings involved. And Keith, we've learned over the years that not all siblings get along with each other, right?
No.
I mean, we're all it'd be a perfect world if we did, but we don't always get along with our family.
No.
And so we just want to take an opportunity to talk about this topic because I guarantee you, Keith, there's someone listening right now that's in that situation.
In
or
that
at least
situation,
it's
or
coming
maybe
up.
getting into that situation.
That's right. And so let's just jump right into a couple of things how do you even prepare for something like that? How would you do it?
One of the first things you need to do if you have siblings involved with the property that either your parents have already passed away or you've got one that may be in bad health and you know what's coming down the road, talk about it with your family.
Right.
Sit down and discuss what you want to do. If there's a will, usually there's going to be an executor of that will, and usually the executor will be the one that will handle primarily these situations like this.
Which is a good solution, right? I mean,
Right.
that's a good solution to have just one person as opposed to multiple people having to sign a document to sell the property. One executive of the state it simplifies the process for sure.
It does.
But everybody needs to talk about it and find out who that person is, right? And then establish that person if they will. And so many people don't. And that's where it becomes a problem because now we as realtors get contacted by one of the family members and says, we want to sell this place. Well, you just open up a big hornet's nest sometimes, right?
Yeah. Have you ever had someone come to you to put a home on the market or a land on the market, and you go ahead and list it?
Yes, I've done that when I
get
first
a buyer.
Yeah, I've done it when I first got in real estate. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. I get a phone call or an email from someone saying, I want to sell my family's place. Somebody recommended me to you, which makes you feel good as a realtor, right? You're like, yeah, sure, I'll be glad to help you. You run out there, you take pictures, you look at it, you don't do your homework as a new realtor, and you put it on the market, and then you find a buyer, Keith, because it's a nice property, right? It's either a really nice home, and it's important to point out it's not necessarily that this applies not just for residential. It can be for any type of real estate, land, commercial, anything. So, again, you put it out there for sale, and you find a buyer. And then when the title search is done, the closing attorney finds out that the sellers really can't sell it as is. Some things have to be corrected, such as a probate. And we can talk a little bit about what that entails. But, in other words, some things have to be done. Not only does it have to be done, but somebody has to pay for that, right?
Right.
So now all of a sudden you've become educated about this problem, not only us as a realtor, but so is that buyer and seller for the first time. And believe me, that's not the time you want to find out about it.
No, if you have got a buyer on the hook, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, they're wanting to buy the property.
And they are ready, they have made a commitment on it, and you've got a contract, and they find out that, okay, we're going to have to go through a 6-month process of getting this property probated. How many of those have we lost when
Absolutely.
the
A lot of
buyer
times they
backed
walk
out?
away, and of course that seller is frustrated. Sellers, in this case, multiple people, frustrated, and so is the buyer. And more than once when I first got in real estate, I had someone, whether it was buyer or seller, is like, Bruce, how come you didn't know about this? Well, Keith, I learned. Go find out. So now when people call me and say I want to sell their property, I'm like, yes, I'm all on board. I can help you. But then you begin to do your homework, right? You go verify that it is in fact in their name. And if there's a problem, you advise them, it can be fixed. That's the good news, is it can be fixed. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And one of the ways really the best way that it can be fixed, and let me preface this by saying you and I are not attorneys, right? We don't do that. We're real estate agents. But we would advise you to talk to an attorney. But
I don't even play one on television.
No, you don't even do that. So, which is a good thing. So anyway, we basically put you in contact with an attorney, and that person, he or she, can then advise you as what's the best option for you. But the easiest, quickest fix, maybe not the easiest and quickest, but it's the best fix, is what's called probate the estate, where it's a process in which the attorney draws up the proper paperwork. It's advertised in the local paper for a minimum of 90 days, which is 3 months, right? And we've learned that it's not just as simple. So people tend to think it's just 3 months. No, that period which they advertise it is 3 months. But you got period before and after. We've learned it can be anywhere between 4 to 6 months. In some cases, as much as 8 months. It takes time. And it costs money. You're looking at probably a minimum of $3,000, if not $4,000 or $4,500, depending on the situation and on the attorney. Those are all questions for the attorney when that time arises. So our job as realtors is to put you in contact with the people who can help you. And by golly, they can help you. They can get it done for you. But unfortunately, it costs money and it takes time. But it's fixed, Keith. It's fixed. It's repaired. And that now you can sell it to anyone, and they have the peace of mind to know that they own it free and clear. There's no one else that's going to come forward years down the road and say, I own a percentage of this property. It's fixed. So going back to what you talked about, the plan, when you talk to your family members about, how we do this, you have to have that conversation. If there's an issue, we may have to spend some money. Well, who's going to pay for that? Are we all going to chip in, or is one person going to pay for it? Well, best case scenario is everybody chips in. But we all know that doesn't always happen, does it?
There's usually going to be one or two that are going to take the brunt of the expense.
So all that needs to be discussed up front. And believe me, it can be a painful conversation to have, but it's well worth it. Because everybody's on the same page and everybody's working toward the end goal of getting this property sold.
Here, a few years ago, I had I believe it was a 1.5 acre property and a home on it that the couple came to me, they wanted to sell it. They were moving out of state. I looked up the title on it, and the only thing I could find was a quitclaim deed.
Yeah.
And the quitclaim deed is a red flag. It's a legitimate way to transfer property. And I called him and asked him. He said, yeah. I said, my sister-in-law quitclaim deeded that to us. Mm-hmm. And I said, listen, check that out. I gave him the name of a couple of attorneys they could contact. I said, and see what they recommend you do. Well, I didn't hear from them for a year. A year later, they called me back and they said, all right, we got it cleared up. So we've got a clear title to the property now. We put it on the market and sold it within a month, I think.
That's right, because I did all the work up front, and it made it a simple process once it comes on the market. So what Keith and I want to talk about today is, all right, let's say the probate is done, and you're ready to go. You own the property. Maybe you didn't need a probate to begin with. Maybe it was in your family. Maybe you are the executor of the estate, and you have the authority to sell the property. But the house has a bunch of stuff in it, right?
It's still got mama's furniture in it, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And it's important to point out, again, it doesn't necessarily just apply to homes. It can be a farm where the barn or multiple barns.
It's got equipment.
It's got a bunch of equipment piled out there. Obviously, you can leave some of that. You can leave all of it if you work out an agreement with a buyer, but you probably want to get what you can for it and certainly keep the things that are important to you and your family, right? So what are some people's options at that point? Do they get together? Do they talk about it?
Well, they need to get together and talk about your timeline of what you're going to do. Do we need to get this probated? If we get it probated, we finish up. During that time of probate would be an excellent time
to go ahead and
start looking at what is left in that house and family members dividing up what they want to keep and what can go to grandkids, great grandkids, whatever. And then set on the goal to be having everything moved out of that home. You and I both know a home is going to show a lot better when it's empty.
That's right.
Than when it's full of.
Same is true with a farm or anything like that. When it looks its best, it's easiest to sell. And all right, so let's say people are again. We're going to think back to you. You remember you mentioned you lay awake at night wondering what you're going to do with all those tools and furniture and all that. What was your solution?
I had no idea, and I was visiting my mother, and I spoke to a nurse up there. She said, well, I know a couple that do estate sales. I said, estate sales. And I don't know how many times I've been by and seen signs advertising estate sales at places.
You'd seen it, heard about it your whole life, probably, yeah.
And I thought, okay. And she gave me their number. I called them. They came. And the way an estate sale generally works, or the way it did with them, they will come in, they will do all the advertising. They'll
organize everything.
Organize everything, put everything on social media. They'll come in, they'll put a price on everything. They put out signs directing people how to get to the property. And they have a lot of times have their regular customers that come follow them all over the state to different estate sales. A lot of people buy this stuff.
They're familiar with, like they know about when the next sale is going to be.
And they come in and they take a percentage. Different estate sales have different percentages, but they may take anywhere or get 30%, 35%, depending on how much cleanup they have to do. But with mine, I think they took 30. They got 30% of the cut. And they made me an offer on everything that was left after the sale. You'd have a 3-day sale, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Mm-hmm. And they offered me a price on what was left. We negotiated a little bit, and I accepted. They moved everything out. Then they went through and swept the house out and cleaned it up good. Got it looking. It was clear. Nothing was left there.
Now let's stop right here and talk about that just for a minute. What you just said is after they did the sale, they then offered you a price on what was left, and they moved it out. You didn't move it out.
I didn't touch a thing.
And then once they got it out, they broom swept everything clean, and then they're out. That's valuable in and of itself, isn't it?
It is.
Because that gives you peace of mind. So the whole point of us talking about this topic is if you find yourself in this position, whether it's today or you anticipate in the next few years, just remember there are some options out there, such as the people who do estate sales. A lot of people don't know that's an option. And it's not something you have to do, but if that sounds good to you, that is a good solution. It really is.
And I just did not realize that most people, you're not aware of that situation till you get in that situation.
Well, you probably don't even think about it until you find yourself in that situation.
And we have people that we can reach out to, and we can put you in contact with.
That's right. You still get to choose who you want to work with. We're here. The whole point of this is we as realtors, we're here to help you. I remember last week we kind of joked around a little bit about call Keith if you got a problem property and that kind of thing. But the truth is, that's our job as realtors, is to help you navigate through real estate transactions. It'd be a perfect world if everything was just rosy, right? But it's not. We've learned there's generally a problem with something. And our job is just to solve that problem, move on to the next problem, help solve that, and just help you navigate through the process.
It's if we don't have a solution for it, hopefully we can find you somebody to contact that can help you solve that problem.
Right. That's right. So if you're considering selling real estate, you can call our office at 601-835-2000. You can call Keith directly
at 601-201-4048.
Yep, and we'll be glad to help you. So hope everybody has a good week. Stay dry, and we'll see you next week.